Great leaders are made, not born, and our guest learned from one of the best. Now he's sharing those experiences in his instant Amazon bestseller. Let's welcome Mark Fava, author of Lessons from the Admiral. Mark, thank you so much for being here. Congratulations. This book came out about a week ago, instant Amazon bestseller. How does it feel to have such an immediate reaction of that?
It's pretty significant. I mean, I've been working on it for 2 years and really been working it hard. So it's just been a great week for that to happen so quickly.
Absolutely. So this book chronicles your experience more than 30 years ago as an Admiral aide. Why did you decide now was the time to put it on paper?
Yeah, you know, I was taking all the things I learned from this great boss, not only what I learned from him, but also what I learned in the job, organizational habits, leadership habits. And I just saw that I was using them over and over in different areas, both as a lawyer, as a naval reservist, ultimately as a leader myself. And I said, gosh, wouldn't it be neat to just put it all down in writing and pay it forward to other people?
Mm-hmm. And how long did you work with this man?
18 months. But
18 months?
Yeah, a very intense 18 months. I mean, you're up at 4 or 5 in the morning before he gets up, and then you're there long after he or she goes to sleep. So pretty intense.
And I wonder if he ever would have thought the impact that he had on your life at that time.
No, you know, it's so funny. People ask me all the time, does he know about the book? Because I don't mention his name in the book, and he does. I mean, right before Thanksgiving last year, I made a trip up to Norfolk, Virginia, and met him for the first time in that many years and gave him a copy of the book, but he had no idea.
I want to ask, what was the reason for not mentioning his name in the book?
It's a great question. I wanted people to sort of visualize in the book their own vision of the Admiral, right? That's why you see the cover. It's his sleeve. It's him sitting me at a desk. And that was the number one reason. Number two was I felt like if I mentioned his name, I was going to have to get permission. And there's nothing in there that I worry about or I'm embarrassed about or would embarrass him. I also didn't want him to say, look, I don't want you to say this or don't want to say that. So I left names out of it. Any of the family names I've changed. But the good news is his family has embraced it fully, and they all love the book.
I'm sure that they do. Was there a particular moment early in your career or during this 18-month span that became a defining moment of leadership that you have carried on and kind of what started this baby that you've now created?
Yeah, I think it's probably the last chapter. You know, I had a dilemma. I was thinking about whether I was going to stay in the Navy or get out of the Navy, go into the reserves and go to law school. And back then, if you told your boss in the Navy you were getting out and going to do something else, it typically didn't go too well for you in that job. And I told him, and he looked at me and he said, you know, can I change your mind? And I said, no, sir. And he said, are you sure? And I said, yes, sir. And he said, then what can I do to help you? And that was the defining moment where I said, that was the epitome of true leadership.
Yeah. Good leadership at that.
Absolutely.
And something that you say in this book that really stood out to me is that it's imperative to learn from good and bad leaders. It's key. Can you give me an example of when you saw an experience of bad leadership?
Sure. I say in the book that, and I say, you know, we learn just as much from bad leaders as we do from good leaders. And I would say the typical example is, especially back in those days in the military, you know, what we would call a screamer. You know, no one likes a screamer. Not a good leader. And I just think you can be much more effective if you're excited about something. The Admiral would say this. He would just look at me and say, don't ever let that happen again. He didn't need to scream. And that was just great leadership as opposed to bad leadership, somebody yelling and raving at you.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that completely. And this book is perfect for aspiring leaders in any field. And I think that the core values that are instilled during time of service are something that, you know, we can all and should all incorporate into our daily life. And I want to ask you, if there was one piece of leadership advice that you could give to your younger self in this book, what would it be? Yeah,
I think it would be figure out what the parameters are, what the boss wants you to do. But I also say integrity always trumps loyalty. So always do the right thing. But at the end of the day, your performance is going to be evaluated by your boss. And I know some people say, well, that's not fair. I say, well, you know, after 30 years, we figure out some things aren't fair, right? And if you're going to live with the good leader or the bad leader, with the bad leader, you need to outlast, but you ought to at least figure it out. And I found that to be very important in the story of success.
Well, I'm excited for everyone to get their hands on this book. It came out about a week ago. You can get it on Amazon, also markcfava.com, and locally you can get it at a bookstore here in Charleston.
Yeah, Buxton Books has it downtown, so thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Pleasure, and congratulations again on your book.
Thanks so much.
We're back in 2 minutes.